Version app, 1 Samuel 30. Now when David and his men came home to Ziklag on the third day, they found the Amalekites had made a raid on the south of Negib and Ziklag and had struck Ziklag and burned it with fire, and had taken the women and all who were there, and both great and small captives. They killed no one, but carried them off and went on their way. So David and his men came to the town, and behold, it was burned, and their wives and sons, daughters were taken captive. Then David and the men with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no more strength to weep. David, his two wives also had been taken captive, Abigail and Jezebel and Abigail. And now the widow of Nabal the Carmelite. David was greatly distressed, and the men spoke of stoning him because the souls of them were bitterly grieved, each man for his sons and daughters. But David encouraged and strengthened himself in the Lord his God. David said to Abiathar, the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray you, bring me the ephod. And the Abiathar brought him the ephod. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I pursue this troop? Shall I overtake them? The Lord answered him, pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So David went, he and his 600 men and with him, and came to the brook Besor, where there those remains who were left behind. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 stayed behind who were too exhausted and faint to cross the brook Besor. They found an Egyptian in the field and brought him to David and gave him bread and he ate, and water to drink, and a piece of cake of figs and a cluster of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit returned to him, and he had eaten no food or drunk any water for 3 days and 3 nights. And David said to him, to whom do you belong, and from where have you come? He said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to the Amalekite, and my master left me because 3 days ago I fell sick. And he made a raid on the south Negib of the Chereshite, and upon that which belongs to Judah, and upon the south Negib of Caleb, and we burned the Ziklag with fire. And David said to him, can you take me down to this band? He said, swear to me by God that you will neither kill me nor deliver me into their hands, the hands of my master, and I will bring you down to his band. And when he had brought David down, behold, the raiders were spread abroad over all the land, eating and drinking and dancing, because all the great spoil they had taken from the land of Philistines and from the land of Judah. And David smote them from twilight even to the evening of the next day, and not a man of them escaped, except 400 youths who rode camels and fled. David recovered all the Amalekites and had taken and rescued his 2 wives. Nothing was missing, small or great, sons or daughters, spoil or anything that had been taken. David recovered all. And also David captured all the flocks and herds which the enemy had. And the people drove those animals before him and said, this is David's spoil. And David came to the 200 men who were so exhausted and faint that they could not follow him, and had been left in the brook of Besor and the baggage. They came to meet David and those with him. And when he came near to the men, he saluted them. Then all the wicked and base men went with David, said, because they did not with us, we will give them nothing to spoil we have recovered, except that every man may lead away his wife and children and depart. David said, you shall not do so, my brethren, with what the Lord has given us. He has preserved us and has delivered into our hands the troop and came against us. who would listen to you in this matter. For as is the share of him who goes into battle, so shall the share be who stays in by the baggage. They shall share alike. And from that day to this, he made it a statute and ordinance for Israel. When David came to Ziklag, he sent part of the spoil to the elders of Judah. His friends saying, "Here is a gift for you, the spoil of enemies of the Lord. For those in Bethel, Ramah, and Negeb, Titir or Sepharmoth, Asamoah, Rascal, the city of Jahamites, the cities of the Kenites, Hamah, Barash, Thach, Hebron, and for all those places David and his men had habitually haunted."